Hey, my friends. I have kind of a special little walkthrough for you to not a little well, it's going to be probably relatively quick walkthrough for you. I always qualify everything. Oh, I need to stop doing that. And I'm qualifying my qualifications. This is my friend Elron's Spirit Doodle cards. And I'm delighted to share them with you. And I've been anxiously waiting to, but I wanted to get a print copy of the guidebook that went with it so I could show you both. So I'll leave all his website information below, but he's spaced between the notes on YouTube and Instagram. And if you follow him on Instagram, you followed the creation of this probably pretty closely, and you see him using them. Now, this is an Oracle deck, and if you follow my channel at all, you know that I am pretty much an Oracle snob. There are very few that I like and use, and the ones that I do like and use have a system to it. And over the years, I sort of wondered, like, what's my problem with Oracle decks? Like, what, you know? And I think what I realized is that they're fine. For the ones, you know, that I like are fine. I just, I'm always waiting for something that's offering me something that tarot doesn't already give me. And they're few and far between that do that. But this is one. And the reason I wanted a physical copy of the book was because I think that the book itself is one of the main reasons why this is more than or it's a different thing than tarot offers. So I did actually write the foreword for the book, but that's not why it's here. But the fact that I wrote the foreword and that I'm showing you the cards is really more than just my friendship with Elron. It's also that I really do love what he's made, and I think that there's something really special about it. You know, if I didn't think that, I would have hedged my bets and like, oh, you know, I'm not really a writer. I mean, I am a writer, but I don't write like that. You know, I would have come up with a reason not to do it. But I really do like it. And what really sold me was this guidebook. So, so you can get these through him. The book you have to order through Lulu or get as a PDF. I actually really recommend getting a print copy of it because I think that what these two things offer together is something really great. So, I think normally I would look at the cards and the book separately, but I think we need to look at them together. So, the cards were printed through Make Playing Cards, and the boxes that were chosen are really nice. It's like a sort of like a lift top box. And it's I love the colors he chose for the back. I love that. And I'm like literally doing an unboxing for you. Well, not technically an unboxing because once again, I'm qualifying everything. Obviously, I opened the box that they came in, but I wanted to sort of like do the whole deal. So like right from the get-go. Now, obviously, I've seen these before because I read the guidebook and I watched the creation of it. Now, what happens when this happens when you order from these sites is that the decks don't come in order, and that, you know, that's typical. But I actually really think that both Make Playing Cards and the Game Crafter have stepped up their stock, and this is really good. All right, so the cards were all sort of doodles, literally spirit doodles that he made, and they have great keywords. So you know, and I'll walk through them really quickly because they're very crisp in their choices and in their images. You'll get the number, the keyword, and then elemental symbols. So in no particular order, because these aren't in order, you have nourish, learn, receive, change speed, ground, stop interfering, center. And you can feel, even as I'm going through just these few, that they're very verb based. They're very active. And that's something I really like. Communicate, own your power, decide. One of the things I say in the guidebook is that too often for me, Oracle decks are platitudes or cheerleaders. And there are time and space for that. And most people like that. They need that more than I do. I don't. Like, I guess I'm too much of a cynic. It just makes me go, but I like that these are very simple, verb qualities that are they're active, but they're clean. You know what I mean? There's something about that. Put up boundaries, express. I think I skipped over decide, act, find your intention, keep it simple, turn on the light, magnet. Now here we get into something that's a little more of a noun, sacred space, hold the energy. We get back to verbs. Music is obviously a noun, but has verbal quality to it. Ask, collaborate. Miracle is a noun. Channel, spirit. Let go of resistance. Faith, healing, time, love. So it's like the basic structure of a sentence is a verb and a noun, and that's what you're getting in this deck. And so I think when you pull multiple cards, you're going to be able to kind of find a sentence that makes some kind of connection. Embrace abundance, rest, transform, change your perception, integrate, joy, fear, lead, change positions, respect, and then there's some blank cards, and then the title card, and then no, yes, higher self, protection, wisdom, meditate, cherish, be still, accept, let go, and then we come back to nourish. And then on the title card, you get all the information. And so when you buy the cards, it'll tell you where to go to download the guidebook, which is the website, and where to contact. So all of that is great. You know what I mean? I think, let me pull out the title card there. I think, you can shuffle the deck, pull a couple cards, and get sort of active, a combination of sort of actions and nouns or objects that, sort of work as a puzzle that you can untangle. And this is a really nice shuffling deck. They're poker-sized or bridge. Poker-sized, I think, are a little, thinner than bridge. I don't know the difference, though. It's they're playing card size. So, obviously you would be more intentional than I'm being right now, but you could pull, so communicate, magnet, and transform, and so communicate, magnet, and transform, just off the top of my head, that's sparking all kinds of sort of sentences or instructions, like communicate what pulls something to you, or communicate what's going to pull transformation into your life. So start saying out loud the things you need to change that are going to help you change. And that to me is a great way to read cards. So keep it simple, music, and hold the energy. And again, this is a very different kind of sentence, but you know what I mean? It's keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate the situation, put on some music, and then keep the energy of that inside of you. There's an action for meditation, right? Don't overdo it. Don't overthink it. It's as simple as playing some music and staying in the energy of that music. Faith, find your intention, and meditate. Again, sort of a great combination, right? You have to have faith in the intention that you're going to set while you meditate. If you are faithful towards the act of meditation, you'll find that intention. And again, you can interpret these in many ways. But what I like about the cards and the choices that he made are the fact that when you pull them 2 or 3 together, you can sort of form them into a sentence, an action, a behavior, an experience. And that I think is really, really effective. But you can take that really further because he's created this great guidebook that goes with it. And what I love about this guidebook is that it takes the oracle cards and it transforms them into an experience. So all of those things I just drew are things you can actively do, whether it's a meditative act or the first one, you can communicate something you can start putting into words. In here, though, you can take that and sort of engage all the senses. You could just pull one card, and this is why the numbers on the cards are important. There are some spreads that he's created for you. The book is beautifully designed, by the way. And obviously he goes through what you're looking at and why, and like what he was doing and why he made it, all of which is helpful. But what you get in each entry for the card is a question, his personal thoughts on the card, a sort of interpretation and messages from his guides, and also some prompts, keywords, some shadow aspects to the card, emotions when you get this card, emotions that need development. There's affirmation. And then we get into the really cool part. He has created self-care activities associated with the card, music pieces associated with the card, trees, animals, elements, chakras, crystals, guides, and then things like books and films, and other things that might bring the card to life. And that is where this gets so exciting to me, because you could take one card and make a whole afternoon out of exploring the energy of that card based on what he's given you. So let's look at Cherish. Okay, this is card 7, and card 7 is one of my favorite numbers. So I'm not going to read word for word, but you get a quote from the Dalai Lama: "As you breathe in, cherish yourself. As you breathe out, cherish all beings." And so he goes on to describe his thoughts. He says, "I can be dismissive and blasé about things. I take things for granted. I assume wrongly that these things are going to be there forever and forget there's an eventual expiration date on my relationship with them." So he gives you this sort of personal meditation. And then he says, "When this card comes up, take a few minutes to acknowledge everything around you that is important and dear to you. Have you been too busy to take stock of what matters and what is working in your life? And are you focusing on the empty half of the glass?" This card is here to remind us that the more we take the time to acknowledge and celebrate the good stuff in our lives, the more those things can come to us. What we focus on grows. And so here we get into the things that I get really excited about. So the prompt is cherish what you have. He has some keywords, like love, appreciation, savoring, paying homage, some shadow elements, idealism, taking stock, idealism, perfectionism, holding on too tightly, emotion when you get the card, emotion to develop, affirmation. The affirmation for this one is, "I now take time to celebrate that which is important to me." And then there's a self-care activity. Start an album of images of the things and people you cherish in your life. Create a gratitude deck. On a small card, write 20 or 30 or more things you are grateful and cherish. Each day, shuffle the cards and choose 4. This is a great way to remind yourself on a daily basis of all the good in your life. Like, isn't that a great idea? It's a great idea. And so, I'm glad, it's funny. The music that he chose for this one, he suggests Copland's arrangement of Simple Gifts. And I just happened to mention Simple Gifts the other day when he posted about Jesse Norman having died. And I was saying to him that I remember seeing her sing Simple Gifts at Thanksgiving on TV when I was a kid, and that's the first time I ever saw her sing. So I love that this is the one I randomly chose, and it connects to that card. Let's see, it's hard to read from this angle. So Barrio's Folk Songs, Nina Simone's Black is the Color, Joni Mitchell's California, Schumann's Scenes from Childhood, Dionne Warwick's That's What Friends Are For, Chopin's Waltz 64 No. 2, Piaf and Louise La Vie en Rose, great song, Brahms' Second Movement from the Viola Sonata, Opus 120 No. 1. And then his associations, he also says, I just like this, "I associate the rich sounds of a string instrument, such as the violin, viola, or cello with this card." So great. And so then the trees, you have walnut, maple, orange, and chestnut. Animals are squirrel, kangaroo, and snail. Element water, chakra heart. Crystals include rose quartz, rhodonite, and, what does that say? Kunzite? I'm not sure. Then there's a guide, and then the guide says, "Children have a way of cherishing things that we as adults seem to have lost. A branch from the park, a party favor. They have a talent for noticing those things and have a true appreciation for them." Also, Cancer Moon and Hanged Man from the Tarot to help us gain perspective on what we already have. So the guides would be children, the way children look at the world. The sign of Cancer, the moon, and the Hanged Man are all guides as well. And then he says, extra, check out Paramhansa Yogananda's autobiography of Yogi. I love this book because of the way Yogananda speaks about his master, Sri. I really didn't anticipate pronouncing names that I didn't prepare for, but they're there. And so, all of this is just full of ideas and information and music. And so what I love about this idea and why I love this deck is that you could just draw a card and think about it, or you could draw a card, read this, and then create a whole ritual for yourself, or a whole afternoon for yourself, reading about his recommendations, listening to this music, making a playlist, and meditating to Nina Simone. Like, how many times do you think about meditating to Nina Simone? But you could do that, and you could experience the senses. You could have the crystals, to touch and feel. You could burn incense that represents the woods, that or trees that he suggests, or essential oils. And so you can easily, without a whole lot of effort, assuming you have stuff nearby, just sort of create a whole afternoon or evening of meditation around Cherish. And that, to me, is what makes this particular thing special. Also, it's beautifully written. I have to say, I was sort of there as he was writing it, and I think, I can't speak for him, but I got the sense that he faces what writers face, which is like the empty page and the gap between what's in the head and what's on the page. Connecting that space is very difficult, but the achievement here, I think, is really great. And so, yes, I think you can use the cards effectively without the guidebook. But I think to have the guidebook, to read what he's created, why he's created it, but even beyond that, the effort he put into the associations that then allow you as a user to create a whole sensory experience around even just one card, I think is really something special, something that I have never seen before, and was so happy to, contribute in some way to it, that, I had to share it. So yes, they're cards with little doodles on them. They're cards with well-chosen verbs and nouns on them. And there's this great guidebook that takes that and transforms it into an experiential, immersive event, which I think is, it's like a little mini moment of theater, which is what I find so attractive about it. And one of the reasons why Elron and I kind of bonded is that we both have a very wicked sense of humor, and I think that comes through in here too. There's an irreverence to it. There's not, a sense of limit to his spirituality. I think there's an openness to what he's created, and that allows for humor. That allows for thinking of pop music as much a spiritual tool as a bell ringing, you know what I mean? So I think that is really incredibly creative. And so though he would tell us he's not a writer, I think what he has written is incredible. I think I would say, and he would probably not like me saying this, I think you could get the guidebook and use it as bibliomancy without the cards. Of course, I love shuffling cards, and that's why I'm so happy that there's a deck that goes with it. But I think even if you just got the book and flipped to a page, you could have a whole experience, because it's a very similar thing. But of course, the cards are more fun. It's a beautiful idea. I'm not going to read more from the guidebook, because I really just want you to experience it. I think it's the kind of thing that you would experience. And I'm almost tempted to say, read the intro, his intro that describes what he's done and why. But I almost sort of suggest not reading the card descriptions and information until you pick one, and then sort of reading each one as you do. Because I think the experience of sort of feeling what he's talking about and then creating a little ritual for yourself based on what he's done, I think is a great, going out to YouTube and finding those music and creating that music and creating a playlist and, doing all of that stuff. I think if you do that mindfully can become really part of what he's made. And so I say bravo. I think this is gorgeous work. I am so happy for him. I know it was a struggle getting things printed and ready and right. I know that writing the book was an uphill battle because writing a book always is. But I think this is one of the most successful guidebooks of any deck I've ever seen. And I think it's indispensable when it comes to this set. And I'm telling you, seeing the cards, it's easy to, dismiss the doodles as doodles, but there's something you feel his energy there. You feel his sense of spirituality. You feel his sense of music. And one of the things that makes him such a special reader, I think, is his musical talent, which again, because he's very self-effacing, he will downplay. But if you watch any of his videos where he's playing the piano, it's mesmerizing. And I think that really comes through in the choices and the music of his language, and in the rhythm of the doodles. I think that's all part of his musicality, even though he'll downplay that. I think permeates all of this, and so that's a really special thing too. So, hope this was interesting. Find his website below, and we'll talk soon.